Hey everybody, church. Remember the old TV show Blossom when there would be a very special episode? Well, this is a very special episode of Everybody Church because we've got Sara Cunningham from Free Mom Hugs telling her story. She was at Grace Point in Nashville this past weekend. Some of you were able to be there, most of us were not. And Stan wanted us to share it with everybody because it is beautiful. But right now, let's get to the very special Everybody Church and listen to Sara Cunningham tell her story.
Wow, what a good looking bunch. I've had some pretty big highlights in my life, but this is really right up there. So thank you for the platform. There's nothing like having a group of mama bears meeting for the first time when you've been able to pour yourself into each other through social media. And I love the power of social media. But thank you, mama bears. I feel your love. I hope you feel mine. And as Liz often says, we really are better together. I'll share my story for those of you who may not know it. My name is Sara Cunningham. I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, smack dab in the center of it. And I was best friends with my husband's sister. I really liked him, and I feel like my pants are unzipped. This is how it's going to be. So I really had a crush on my husband, but he didn't really notice me until one summer in a two-piece bathing suit. He got his own place, and I got pregnant, and we liked each other. Are the children still in here? 9 months later, we had our firstborn, Travis. It was not planned at all. My husband and I, we honored the commitment that we made to each other, and we've been together, I can't do the math, but over 30 years. I know. You can. But we were in survival mode. It was difficult. Having a young family, and but we got through it. We suffered right through it, and 4 years later, we planned Parker, our youngest son. He's part of the reason why we're here today, and we got plugged into a neighborhood church. And I didn't pay any attention to the denomination because it was a neighborhood church. We voted there. You could hang out in the basement when the weather got bad. We were there every Sunday, every Wednesday. It was a wonderful time in our lives. We served there for the better part of 20 years. I love the fellowship of believers. I love learning about scripture and God and spiritual things. We did a lot of really good things inside and out of that church. If a person had a need, we simply had to, make ourselves aware of it, and we met it. And it was a wonderful time in my life. And I don't want to take away from any of that by sharing our story, but there's some things that happened through that journey that I need to share with you. So we served in the church for the better part of 20 years, and we started helping with the youth. And the issue of homosexuality was never really preached about or talked about. We didn't have same-sex couples in the congregation. We didn't have same-sex weddings there. I honestly did not pay much attention even to the denomination because we could walk there from our house. It was a community place. The children went to school with other children there. Do you see the connection there? So, but it was a Southern Baptist affiliation through doctrine, and which I now know the difference between affirming and non-affirming. That's how it is. Our youngest son, Parker, spent his whole life trying to come out to us. We had conversations at the kitchen sink about him trying to express his feelings, and I manipulated those conversations. I nipped them in the bud, thinking it was just a phase. I said, can we just get through school? When Parker was about 5 years old, we had company at the house, and we have a 2-story home. He and a friend were upstairs playing while the adults were in the kitchen solving the world's problems. Parker came barreling down the stairs in one of my dresses and a pair of my heels, and he danced in our kitchen until his hair was wet with sweat. And it was my first indication, like, something's awry here. But I just figured it was part of his personality. And his whole life was a compromise. He gravitated towards the glittery, more feminine things, while I navigated him through the more masculine things. It was always a compromise. He was depressed, anxiety-ridden, struggled through school. And finally, when he turned 21, he said, Mom, I met someone and I need you to be okay about it. I did not take the news very well. I did some things, I acted in ways, and I said some things that I regret even today. I didn't know where to look for resources. As I tried to share with our congregation there with my peers, remember, we had, raised our children together. We have experienced funerals and weddings together. We served together, but we didn't know how to have this conversation, and we didn't know how to minister to each other. I was devastated. It was around the holidays. I remember I was Saturday afternoon, I was in my bed, depressed, or I said sick with the flu, I think, but my family knew what was wrong. I felt like I had to choose between my faith and my child. I was clinging to my faith, and it was killing me because I felt like I had absorbed this idea that homosexuality and suicide were the unforgivable sins, condemnable to hell. And I believed that my son was going to hell. Do you understand that? The devastation and how utterly helpless that would have someone, a mother, a woman of faith. It was devastating. I didn't know where to look for resources. I wrestled between law and grace and what I knew about the love of God and the power of the Holy Spirit and the scriptures and history, and I just could not reconcile. How could I accept part of my son, but not the things that concerned him or not the things that he loved? How could I love what I absorbed was the idea of sin? Love the sinner and hate the sin, which, by the way, is the worst thing you could possibly say to anyone. So just don't say it, ever. So I reconciled my faith by just clinging to love. The love of God, the fruit of the Spirit is love. Love casts out all fears. There's no condemnation in fears. I taught my children young, learn the difference between conviction and condemnation. Conviction will draw you closer to God, and condemnation will make you want to run and hide. One Saturday afternoon, I was depressed in my bed, and Parker came in and he lay down beside me and he said, Mama, are you going to be okay? And I said, yeah, I just got to wrap my head around this. I got to figure it out. And he said, I understand that, Mom, but I need you to understand that I have sucked it up for 21 years being your son. I need you to suck it up now and be my mom. Yeah, that's what I did too. That got me out of bed, guys. Yeah. And so I started writing about our journey. Thank you for the help. So I wrote a book. And it says How We Sleep at Night, a Mother's Memoir. And it's just how I got through it. And it's a self-published book. I have a 10th grade education. You realize how limited your vocabulary is, for one thing. But I had to write about it. It's a self-published book. The colors, I wanted to post family pictures in there, and they're in grayscale because I couldn't afford to get them in color, but I love them. Parker is a singer-songwriter, and I included links that have his songs in there. If you're on Kindle, you can click on the link and you can listen to his songs. And I love the book. He designed the cover. But this is a story of how we got through it. Everything you might have seen on social media was inspired by the last chapter. And the last chapter was written from standing at the Oklahoma City Pride Parade in 2014 with my son and his friends. And it was that day that I met a beautiful, spirit-filled community. It was that day that I nearly crumbled, broke down, and died because I had a brick of a lump in my throat of the audacity of thinking that I could come into this beautiful, spirit-filled community and pray the gay away. In 2015, I made a homemade button because I didn't know how to order anything off Amazon. Still don't. I made a homemade button, and I went to the Oklahoma City Pride Parade, and I made myself available with anyone who made eye contact with me, and I'd say, could I offer you a free mom hug or a high five? Mm-hmm. And I didn't let go until they did.
Oh dear.
He'll be there a long time.
And I would have just say affirming words like, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. And you go and you enjoy your day. And I'm celebrating you. And it was that simple. The first hug I got was from a beautiful young woman who said I hadn't had a hug from my mom in 4 years because I'm gay. It wasn't soon after that till I met a young couple living out of their car, simply because they're gay. And then some friends and dads and allies, and we got together and started taking up collections for gas cards, for food, Target cards so they could get their basic needs met. And it's about being a loving presence in the lives of these beautiful at-risk youth in my community. I'm not the first mom to offer free mom hugs at a Pride festival. Let's get that straight. But based on that experience, I started the nonprofit organization Free Mom Hugs. And we started taking up donations and offering bus passes, getting kids out of dangerous situations, safe housing for a couple of days till we figure out what we're going to do. We help our transgender friends get their name changes that matches their identity so they don't have to worry about that. By the way, today is Transgender Day of Visibility. I went to a PFLAG meeting in Oklahoma City that I thought was for high schoolers and moms like me. I knew the facilitator there, so I took some cookies, a tray of cookies. I thought, well, I'll hang out. It turned out to be a meeting for the adult transgender community. I'd never been in the same room, to my knowledge, with another transgender person. And I left there broken because I heard their stories, and I consider them to be precious and most misunderstood. And you talk about backlash, being an accidental activist is when you stand up and advocate for our transgender friends. But you'll never hear me complain about the backlash or the threats or the emails or checking my tires every morning because you know what? Listen, it pales in comparison to what the beautiful community has experienced their entire lives. There's nothing that will erase the forefront of my mind going into a Walmart with my son, having to leave immediately when he sees a high school buddy. Not a buddy, a high school bully. And he says, Mom, let's go back to the car. Can we go to Target instead? On a 15-year-old kid's face, your son's face. I got plugged in, started Free Mom Hugs. After the election, no matter where you stand on that subject, I thought, well, we'd created a banner that you might walk with in a Pride Parade, and it said Free Mom Hugs, Moms Who Love LGBT Kids. And what we wanted to do by walking in the parade with that is just send a message to the community that we love them, and also to mothers. After the election, I just started hearing fear and anxiety from the community about the moms groups, and I just thought, well, what can I do? And I just
felt like I heard a still small voice, if you will, say, well, you got that banner.
So we planned this tour, and we've talked with faith, civic, and business leaders about the value and importance of acceptance. We have talked with groups of mamas and dads about how to love and accept their LGBTQ kids. That was the vision, just to take the banners to where the people are that need the hugs, to take the message to where the people are that can start to fix the problems. So the Home for Hope is a 40-bed homeless shelter for LGBTQ people in Philadelphia. And Sara, she just wanted to do something that connected, like something that her kids had always enjoyed, to make something that was there. So it wasn't just bringing in boxes of pizza and eating, it was creating a meal and having that time in the kitchen and being a mama. Are you ready? Let's serve it.
I think what Laura, Beth, and Sara are doing is amazing, especially for a community where one of the most told stories is a family turning their back on them because of who they are or who they love. Anything with the word mom attached, just to have that female figure that would come in and cook a meal and offer you a hug and say, how are you doing, and show you that they're interested in whatever it's going on with you, even though it's for a very brief period, that touches an empty space inside of a lot of people in this community.
I came out as transgendered about 6 years ago. My mother had been fine with me being a lesbian, but being transgendered, she cut me off. She told me she would rather see me dead than see me transition, and she held a funeral for me. She invited all of my friends and family from back home.
I feel like I found family. I do. Sisters, brothers.
Some of them in here will even start to call me mom, or they'll call me auntie or something like that. And I know professionally and what they would consider ethical boundaries, I shouldn't allow them to do that. But it's hard to tell someone that you know hasn't received that kind of love. So when they start to call you that, you realize that it's because of the love you're showing them. And to know that someone hasn't ever had that kind of love before is hard. So it's very hard to try and tell someone no, under that circumstance.
Overall, people, they understand that there is damage being done. A lot of times, it's a simple matter of not knowing how to change. And to see these mama bears in particular come to a point where they not only get to be okay with it, but they become adamant defenders. I believed that I was the only person dealing with a gay child in the church, in the world, until I found these mamas online that were willing to talk about it. And not only online, but when we find each other online, we find each other in real life. And when we connect in real life with a group of mama bears, it's a very, very special, almost sacred moment.
One of the biggest reasons I came was to join the Free Moms Hug Tour because I knew Sara and Laura Beth through my Facebook page. But it is one of the first times that I have openly let my son know how much I support him and how much I accept him openly. So I wanted him to know how much I love him and accept him, and just want him to realize that he's everything to me, and he's taught me how to be a better person, who he is more accepting of people in every way. Even though I did accept him, I'm a better person because he's gay. I guess. I mean, I really do. I really do feel like I'm a better human being because of this child that God gave me for me to grow.
As I began advocating for the LGBTQ plus community, beautiful couples would ask if I would officiate their weddings. It's something that I had to search myself about. I never dreamed I would be an officiant, or even necessarily approving of same-gender relationships. But as I began this journey, I learned about the history of human sexuality, about evidence, about science, and most importantly, I heard testimonies from LGBTQ plus Christians that convinced me that I don't believe homosexuality is a sin. I believe it's a beautiful expression of human sexuality that should be celebrated and recognized as an important part of our history and our future. And we've got to allow a space for this message in the church, like you're doing here at Grace Point. It's so important because the messages that come from our worship have a ripple effect and will change the world around us. And it changes the social norm. It allows a space to go shopping with our transgender friends and have a conversation that just brings about humanity in where we are. So I began officiating for same-sex couples. And in doing that, I was hearing about how parents weren't acknowledging the relationships or willing to show up for the wedding, just refusing to be any part of that very sacred, special day. So out of frustration, late at night, I have a really cute picture of myself with my hand up in the air. And I said, look, and I posted, if your biological mom won't come to your same-sex wedding, then you call me, I'll be there. And that post went viral. And what caused it to be viral, which, by the way, I had to Google what going viral meant. I still don't know. But people from all over the world were saying, I'll stand in too. And that's what made it so special. And it's been a wonderful experience, but it caught the attention of Jamie Lee Curtis. She sent me a private message and said, will you call me? And I said, I'm going to call you right after I pray that I'm not getting catfished. Do you know what catfish is? So we had a conversation. She found out about the book. She loved it. She loves the mission of Free Mom Hugs and the private online Facebook group through the efforts of Liz. And so she acquired the rights to the book. She just sold it. They're going to make a movie out of it, and we're just thrilled. Lastly, we are preparing for our third tour. My friend Katrina here, would you just stand up and wave? Parts of my favorite part about the tour is about sharing our stories. A beautiful moment we had last year was with a mother in Topeka, Kansas, who thought she was the only mother in Topeka, Kansas with a transgender child. We met at a local mom and pop place there, and guess what? She met 2 other moms with children on the spectrum. She found out she's not alone. They get together and they're making a difference where they live. We're preparing for our third tour. Katrina and I are traveling from Oklahoma City to Castro Street in San Francisco. This tour is titled The Tour of Hope, inspired by the life of Harvey Milk. And this is our path of travel. You can follow the tour on Free Mom Hugs. We are a nonprofit organization. Our work is done volunteer-based. I have an hourly wage job. Katrina, my friend, is a nanny. The board is built of volunteers. We depend on donations to do the work that we do, for resources to help travel. And just so thankful to Grace Point and for the platform here. If my son and I would have had an opportunity to worship in a place where he wouldn't have had to check himself at the door, it just would have made all the difference in the world. Really, the reason why we're here today is because of a very special woman who's very near and dear to me. And none of this, hear me in the back, none of this would have been possible without the efforts of Liz Dyer. Can we have a microphone up here? Liz, we wanted to surprise you and just really show appreciation. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Do you understand how important you are to this expedition?
Yes, thank you.
I've learned so much from you. And I want you to see the mama bears and
It's beautiful.
all the love.
You guys are beautiful. I love you all so much. Thank you, Sarah. Somebody asked me what I expected from Sarah today. And I said, well, she's going to make us laugh and she's going to make us cry. And when we leave here today, we're going to be better people because of what she pours into our life and what she speaks into our life. So I'm so proud of Sarah, and I'm so proud of the work she's doing and the movement that she's inspiring. The group has turned into more than I could ever imagine. It is a lot of work, and I'm proud of it. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. I love you. And thank you, Grace Point, for the work you're doing. I can't tell you what it means to moms like me, to families like mine. We come from churches that we had to check ourselves at the door, and that when we celebrated and affirmed our children, we were told that we were backsliding, or we were throwing scripture out, or we were abandoning our faith. And that wasn't true, and we needed people like you to come alongside us, and you did. Thank you.
So Free Mom Hugs now is a nonprofit organization known worldwide. We have over 40 chapters in states of moms preparing for their prides, making a true difference in the place where they live. And I just couldn't be more thrilled with the outpouring and just the due diligence of what you are doing. So thank you, mamas. Thank you so much.
Teach me how to listen. I want to know your voice. Show me how to wade through living in the natural, rise above the noise. Teach me how your heart beats and tether it to mine. Surgery is worth it. Get below the surface. Open up my eyes. I wanna see heaven. So let your kingdom come around. I wanna see heaven. So let your kingdom come. Rise up right now. If faith can wake the dead man, and hope can split the sea, then help me to remember the kingdom of heaven. It's living in me. Amen. If death there was no match for the resurrected King, then help me to remember that heaven is alive and it's living in me right now. I wanna see heaven. So let calling up salvation now. Sing it with us. I feel the tides are changing, changing. I feel the walls are falling down. I feel the darkness shaking. We're calling up salvation now. Right now, I see the tides are changing. I feel the walls are falling down. I feel the darkness shaking. We're calling up salvation now. Right now, heaven is open. So let your kingdom come around, yeah. Yeah, heaven is open. So let your kingdom come. Let it rise around us. Let it rise. Yeah, heaven is open. Hey. So let your kingdom come around, yeah. Yeah, heaven is open. Yes, it is. So let your kingdom come.
The tides are changing, but there is still so much to do. But I feel like this community is getting it right because we are really serious about loving people just as they are, not expecting them to change, just loving for the sake of loving. It's what Jesus talked about when he said that his followers will be recognizable by how they love. I love what the Mama Bears are doing. I love what Sarah's doing with Free Mom Hugs and going on tour. She could use your support for that. I'll put a link in the notes. And if you're not connected and plugged in at Everybody Church, go to facebook.com/everybodychurch. Join a group. Go to everybodychurch.com. If you want to give to what we're doing, everybodychurch.com/give. We're going to make this awesome with you because we're seriously serious about love. Have a great week. We love you very much. Everybody Church is a 501c3 nonprofit that uses the tools of social media and digital innovation to connect progressively minded people around the world to change our world. Regardless of differences, we envision a world marked by equality, sustainability, justice, and love. Our work is made possible by tithes and offerings and charitable giving from members of our community. everybodychurch.com/give.